In this video, we will discuss metric subspace and product metric space. So for that, first consider one example that will give you the definition of subspace. So the example goes like this. You take a metric, means you take a metric space x comma d. So x is a set and d is metric on x. And then you take a non-empty subset of x and define a function delta on a. That means for x and y in a, you define a function delta as restriction of the metric d on a. That means delta of xy is equal to d of xy. Then delta will be a metric on a, which is a very obvious thing, but still I have written the steps that if you take any xyz in a, so delta of xy is d of xy, and since d is metric, it is non-negative, so delta of xy is non-negative. Further, delta of xy is 0 if and only if your d of xy is 0, but d of xy, d is metric, so d of xy is 0 if and only if x is equal to y. So what you have, delta of xy is 0 if and only if x is equal to y. Symmetricity. For symmetricity, you take delta of xy. Delta of xy is d of xy. D is metric, so it is equal to d of yx. Now d of yx is same as delta of yx. Therefore, symmetricity also follows. Now the third, triangle inequality for metric. So you take delta of xz, which is d of xz. Now d is metric, so it is going to be less equal d of xy plus d of yz, and d of xy is delta of xy and d of yz is delta of yz. So you have just restricted your map D to A. Therefore, you have proved A comma delta is a metric space, and the terminology is the metric delta on A is called the induced metric on the subset A, and this will give you the definition of metric subspace. So here is the definition I have written, that you take two metric spaces y delta and x comma d. Then y is said to be metric subspace of x if and only if, first of all, y should be subset of x, and delta, the map delta, should be restriction of d on y. So if these two conditions are satisfied, you say y is metric subspace of x. Now, the next which we want to discuss is product metric. Okay. So, for product metric, you fix any natural number n and consider xi delta I. Means you suppose that xi delta I are metric spaces where I is running from 1 to n. That means x1 delta 1, x2 delta 2, x3 delta 3 up to xn delta n are metric spaces. Then you take the product of all these xi's. Product means you take x1 cross x2 up to cross xn. So how the elements of product of xi will look like? It will look like n tuple ai's, where every ai will belong to xi. That means a1 will belong to x1, a2 will belong to x2, an will belong to xm. So this is how the element of product xi will look like. I have taken two elements a and b. So each bi means b1 b2 b1 bn, in this n tuple each bi belong to xi. So this tuple, this n tuple b1 b2 bn belong to product of xi. Now on this set product of xi, you define first of all your d1 to be summation of delta I ai bi. I is running from 1 to n. That means it is delta 1 of a1 b1 plus delta 2 of a2 b2 up to delta n of an bn. Second function which here is defined is summation, means it is denoted by d2 of ab. It's square root of summation delta I ai bi square. So and third function d infinity, it is denoted by, is defined as maximum of delta I ai bi. So the claim of this theorem is all these three functions define metric on product space x product xi. So we will prove it one by one. First we will prove that D1 is metric. So you take ABC. A is the n tuple A1 A2 AN, B is the n tuple B1 B2 BN, and C is the n tuple C1 C2 CN be the member of product xi. For first condition, that means D1 of AB should be non-negative. So D1 of AB is what? Summation of delta I AI BI. Now what is delta I? Delta I is metric. So delta I of AI BI is always greater equal 0. So what you have is it is summation of all non-negative terms. So it has to be greater equal 0. Next, when will it be 0? So summation of means D1 of AB will be 0 if summation of delta I AI BI is 0. But delta I AI BI all terms are non-negative and summation of non-negative terms are 0. That means your delta I AI BI for every I should be equal to 0. That means what you have, delta I of AI BI is 0 for all I, and since delta is metric, you can conclude delta I of AI BI is 0 if and only if AI is equal to BI, and that in turns implies you if AI is equal to BI, you can say that A is equal to B. So that is the first condition you have proved. Now second, for symmetricity. For symmetricity, again consider D1 of AB. D1 of AB is summation of delta I AI BI, but delta i's are metric, so you can say delta I AI BI is same as delta I of BI AI, and that will give you D1 of BA, and that will prove the symmetricity of the metric D1. Next, we will prove the triangle inequality for this metric. So first we note this fact that since delta i's are metric, you have delta I of AICI is less equal delta I of AIBI plus delta I of BICI for all I lying between 1 to n. Now consider your D1 of AC. D1 of AC is summation of delta I AICI. Now using this fact, you can say summation delta I AICI is less equal summation delta I AIBI plus delta I BICI, which is equal to summation of delta I AIBI plus summation of delta I BICI, which is equal to D1 of AB plus D1 of BC, and that proves that D1 of AC is less equal D1 of AB plus D1 of BC. That means you have proved the triangle inequality for D1, and that will means that way you can conclude D1 is a metric on product Xi. Second, D2. This is how D2 was defined, that D2 of A comma B is square root of summation delta I AI BI square. Now this term is square, so it is obviously non-negative. So summation of all non-negative terms is, it has to be non-negative. That means it is greater equal 0. Square root, we are taking only positive square root, so that will not affect the means positivity or negativity of your term. So you can say that square root of summation delta I AI BI square is greater equal 0. Further, when will it be 0? So D2 of AB is equal to 0 if and only if all the term in this summation is 0, because if addition of non-negative term is 0, so again you can say each term in the summation has to be 0. Again we will make the we will make use of the fact that delta I is metric. So delta I AI BI is 0 if and only if what you have, AI is equal to BI, and this you will have for all I. So what you have, D2 of AB is 0 if and only if A is equal to B. So that will prove the first condition. Now second, symmetricity. D2 of AB square root of summation delta I AI BI square. Since delta i's are metric, again using this fact you can write it as delta I of BI AI, and that will give you it is D2 of BA. Therefore symmetricity is also proved. Now third, triangle inequality. Consider delta I of AICI. Since delta I is metric, you have it is less equal delta I AI BI plus delta I BI CI. Now we will make use of this fact and let's see what happens with D2. So if you consider D2 of A comma C, square root of summation delta I AI CI square, and using this fact here, you can say it is less equal square root of summation delta I AI BI plus delta I BI CI whole square. Now we will make use of the Minkowski inequality here, and making use of this inequality, you can say this whole term is less equal square root of summation delta I AI BI square, I running from 1 to n, plus square root of summation delta I BI CI square, I running from 1 to n. The first term will give you d2 of AB, and the second term will give you d2 of BC. In that way, you prove that d2 of AC is less equal d2 of AB plus d2 of BC. And in that way, you have proved that d2 also defines a metric on x1 cross x2 cross up to xn. Next, the third function which we had defined, d infinity of AB, that was defined as maximum of delta I AI BI. Now since it's a finite term, means the maximum of finite term you are taking, so how many at most you have n terms. So delta 1 A1 B1, delta 2 A2 B2 up to delta n AN BN. These are the n terms you are having, and of that you are taking the maximum. So I am assuming that maximum is, say, some delta I naught A I naught B I naught for some I naught lying between 1 and n. Similarly, I am assuming d infinity of BC, that is maximum of delta I BI CI, is some delta I1 of BI1 CI1. Again, I1 is lying between 1 to n. And d infinity of AC, I am assuming it is some delta I2 of AI2 CI2, which is again I2, means again I2 is lying between 1 to n. Now let's go to prove that d infinity is a metric. So d infinity of AB is equal to delta I naught of AI naught BI naught, and delta I naught is metric, so it is obviously greater equal 0, and d infinity of AB is equal to 0 if and only if delta I naught of AI naught BI naught is 0, and that will prove that AI naught is equal to BI naught. But what was delta I naught AI naught BI naught? It was maximum of delta I AI BI. That means what you have, if maximum of delta I AI BI is 0 and it's a metric delta I, all the delta I's are metric, so they are always greater equal 0. So if maximum is equal to 0, then all other delta I's has to be 0, and that will prove that each AI is equal to BI. Therefore, you can conclude d infinity of AB is 0 if and only if each AI is equal to BI, that is if and only if A is equal to B. Next, symmetricity. D infinity of AB is maximum of delta I AI BI. Delta I of AI BI is equal to delta I of BI AI, because all delta I's are metric. So what you have, D infinity of AB is equal to D infinity of BA. Next, triangle inequality. Consider d infinity of AC. Now again we will make use of this fact here that each delta I AI CI is less equal delta I of AI BI plus delta I of BI CI for all I, and this will follow from the fact that each delta I is metric. So consider d infinity of AC, it is maximum of delta I AI CI, which we have already defined it to be delta I2, some delta I2 of AI2 CI2, where I2 is again lying between 1 to n. So this delta I2 of AI2 CI2 will be less equal delta I2 of AI2 BI2 plus delta I2 of BI2 CI2. Using this fact, we will get this step. Now, this delta I2 of AI2 BI2 is definitely going to be less equal maximum of delta I AI BI, and this delta I2 of BI2 CI2 is going to be less equal maximum of delta I BI CI. So what you can conclude, d infinity of AC is less equal d infinity of AB plus d infinity of BC. That means triangle inequality in this case also holds, and that proves that product xi is metric space with respect to the metric D infinity. So if you have a set of if you have some collection of metric spaces, finite collection of metric spaces, you can create a new metric space called product space, and the three standard metric we have discussed in this video. So that's all for this video.